My name's Nolan, and I'm 38 years old. For 9 years, I was hitched to someone I figured was my closest companion. We had our home in Springfield, Indiana, where I've been working at the neighborhood hardware supply business. Sure, it's not the most exciting career, but it pays honestly. I've been at this job for 15 years now, since I turned 23. That's where I first met Marissa during a hot summer day when she came in looking for spray paint for a bookshelf project. Back then, she was 26 and studying massage therapy. I can still picture how her face lit up when I offered to help. We ended up chatting and laughing together. I helped load her stuff into her car. A week later, we had our first date. Our relationship progressed through a year of dating, then moving in together, and finally getting married. She had big dreams, constantly discussing plans to start her own massage practice. From day one, I was in her corner. Money was tight initially, so I covered most household expenses, helped with her business launch, paid for licensing, and even bought her first professional massage table. I didn't mind at all. I genuinely wanted her to succeed. Jump to recent times. Her practice really took off about 12 months ago. Her income actually exceeded mine, and that made me genuinely proud. I truly meant that. However, something had shifted. Over the last several months, she became withdrawn. Cold, actually. She'd roll her eyes at my jokes. The same jokes that used to have her laughing like I was a comedy genius. She started spending more time with her family, especially her brother Victor. Now, Victor's always been a real piece of work. The guy's 39, never married, no kids, gets a new car every few months, and walks into every room like he owns the place. I never liked him, but kept things civil for Marissa's sake. He'd make little digs at me whenever we were together. Never enough to start a real fight, but just enough to wear you down over time. When our 9th anniversary came around, Marissa told me we'd celebrate at her sister's house in Kokomo. She said her family wanted to organize something special for us. I thought that was actually sweet, even though it meant driving 4 hours after work on Friday. I showed up with wine in one hand and a small jewelry box in the other, silver necklace with her birthstone. I'd even handwritten a card. Nothing fancy, just something from the heart. I hoped maybe we could reconnect somehow. The moment I walked in, though, I felt it immediately. Something was wrong. 12 people sat around the big dining table. Every seat was taken. I stood there at the dining room entrance, feeling awkward, still holding the wine and jewelry box. I waited for someone to move, make room, or at least acknowledge that the husband at this anniversary dinner deserved a seat at the table. That's when Victor looked up, leaning back like he owned the place, and said there was space in the kitchen with the kids. I thought he was joking. I actually laughed a little and said, "Okay, funny. So where do I sit?" Marissa wasn't laughing. She just stared at me, completely serious, and said, "No, really, sit in the kitchen with the kids. We're almost finished setting up here." I looked at her for several seconds, searching her face for any hint she was kidding. A smile, a wink, anything. But there was nothing. She was dead serious. What really knocked the wind out of me was how everyone else acted like this was completely normal. Her mom just stared at her plate. Her sister got up and headed toward the kitchen, clearly wanting no part of whatever was happening. I said, "This is our anniversary. You want me eating with the children?" Victor chuckled, sipped his wine, and leaned back in that smug way he always did. "Well, if you want to eat here, either wait or start by becoming equal with us." Then Marissa, my wife, smiled. She didn't correct him. She didn't defend me. She didn't even look embarrassed. She just stared straight at me and said, "He's not wrong." The whole room went silent. I could hear someone's fork against their plate, then nothing but the ceiling fan humming overhead. I didn't yell. I didn't flip the table or throw the wine or say something I'd regret. I just swallowed hard, turned, and walked into the kitchen. I set the wine on the counter, opened it, and poured it down the sink. I took my wedding ring off and placed it beside the empty bottle. Like the wine, the ring was now worthless. Then I walked out. Nobody followed me. Nobody said anything. I got in my truck and started driving. No plan. I just needed to be somewhere else. Anywhere but there. 7 hours later, I ended up in Knoxville, Tennessee, outside Uncle Ray's place. He's quiet. Retired, widowed, keeps to himself. I hadn't seen him in ages, but knew he wouldn't ask questions. I knocked at 2:30 a.m. He opened the door, looked at me, and asked if I wanted a beer. That's the kind of man he is. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on his porch, watching stars fade into dawn. I grabbed a pen and some old notebook paper from Ray's kitchen drawer and began composing a letter to Marissa. Once I finished writing, I took a picture of it and sent it her way. Here's what I wrote. You didn't just embarrass me. You made a deliberate decision. I understand now. You've been distancing yourself for months, and I was too naive to recognize it. But that night made everything crystal clear. You'd rather have Victor's validation than keep a husband. I'm not about to compete for someone who allows her brother to disrespect me like garbage and then grins while it happens. Best of luck to you. I'm finished. I wasn't expecting any response after sending that text. I assumed that was it. She'd chosen her path and I'd chosen mine. However, several hours later, the messages began arriving. Initially, "Can we please talk?" followed by, "I believe things were misunderstood." I stared at my phone screen for quite a while, my heart racing yet feeling completely hollow. I chose not to respond. Some time passed, then she tried calling. I ignored it completely. That afternoon, another text appeared. "You're overreacting. You made me look bad." And somehow, in the end, she felt the same sting she'd once ignored in me. That message really stung. As if I was the person who showed up late to my own anniversary celebration and instructed her to dine in the kitchen with children. I spent the remainder of that day reflecting. Sitting on Uncle Ray's front porch, drinking lukewarm coffee, staring at the gravel driveway as if expecting some kind of enlightenment to arrive in a truck. The more I pondered, the more everything began falling apart. This marriage had been completely unbalanced for much longer than I cared to acknowledge. I opened my laptop and began examining our financial records. Banking history, invoices, transactions, all of it. Her vehicle insurance? I was paying for it. Her mobile phone? Still under my service plan. Food shopping? Mainly my responsibility. Monthly bills? They were supposed to be shared equally, but I'd been making up the shortfall more times than I could count. And her massage practice? That business entity? It was registered under my name. I'd handled the legal documents when we set it up because she claimed I was better with organization. I never questioned it. Just like I never questioned when she required a replacement table, financing for her office space, or assistance with marketing materials. So I collected everything. Documentation, financial records, correspondence. All of it. Initially, revenge wasn't the motivation. I simply wanted a clean separation. Something concrete to demonstrate what I'd constructed. What I'd put into this relationship. Not just financially, but emotionally. However, the deeper I dug, the more I understood she'd been reframing our entire partnership in her mind, turning me into the liability, the background character. And her relatives? They never truly accepted me. Not that they were openly hostile, just completely apathetic. I wasn't Victor. I wasn't showy or flashy. I didn't speak like I was the most intelligent person present. I didn't mention important connections or show off some investment portfolio. I was simply myself, dependable, consistent, trustworthy. I was always there. I backed her up. I genuinely cared, and none of them valued any of it. That's when I reached a conclusion. I wasn't going to disappear quietly into the background. I was going to reclaim what belonged to me. After sending her that message and avoiding her phone calls, I expected she'd eventually give up. However, 3 days passed before I received an email. The subject read, "You can't just abandon everything like this." The content was packed with justifications. She claimed her family had pressured her, that she hadn't intended for things to escalate that way, that Victor was only kidding around, and I'd blown it out of proportion. She concluded with, "We can repair this situation. Please come back home." No genuine accountability, just finger-pointing, just making excuses. I didn't bother responding. Instead, I reached out to my friend Travis. He works as a paralegal down in Springfield. Not a complete attorney, but he understands legal documentation. I explained to Travis that I needed to disconnect myself from Marissa's business operations. Quickly, he posed several questions, then began examining the paperwork I'd compiled. It turned out that since the business was registered in my name, I was the legal owner. Everything. The massage therapy practice she enjoyed boasting about. Legally speaking, it was mine. That realization hit me like a freight train. The website, the payment processing, the client scheduling system. They were all connected to my email address, my accounts, my legal name. So I shut it all down. Every component of it. The booking application? Disabled. The business payment account? Frozen. The commercial bank account? Put on hold pending ownership verification. She contacted me 6 times that day. I refused to answer. On her 7th attempt, she left a voice message. I played it on speaker while Travis sat across from me reviewing documents. Her voice sounded panicked, shrill, nearly screaming. "You're destroying my entire life. You have no right to do this to me. This represents everything I've built. That was the first time I'd smiled in 7 days. She constructed her little business kingdom using my name, my credit score, my unwavering support. In the instant she decided she no longer needed me, suddenly I became the guy who should go eat with the children. Not happening. Then the messages began flooding in from people we both knew. Her cousin Jenna reached out to me through Instagram. What's the deal with shutting down her website? She's having a complete meltdown. I responded back. She embarrassed me in front of her entire family and made it clear I wasn't worthy. I'm not going to assist someone who treats me like garbage. Jenna read my message but never replied. Complete silence. The following day, Marissa's sister sent me an email. Not a text message, an actual email. Listen, I realize what went down was difficult, but Marissa feels terrible about it. She's hemorrhaging customers. Could you at least assist her in transferring the business into her own name? Now they were asking for my assistance? After remaining completely silent when I was instructed to go sit in the kitchen like some kind of hired help, I wrote back. She's welcome to retain an attorney. I'm finished being taken advantage of. That evening, I received a text message from Victor. Yes, that Victor. The message read, "You're acting really immature right now. Time to act like an adult." I stared at my phone screen for several moments, then responded. You took my chair on my anniversary dinner and informed me that my wife needed someone with more money. I stayed calm and still. I chose to leave peacefully without causing a scene. That was me being mature. He never wrote back. 8 days later, Marissa made the drive out to my uncle's house. No phone call. No text warning. Simply appeared and started banging on the door. My uncle hollered for me from the garage. I had motor oil all over my fingers. Was right in the middle of helping him repair an old lawnmower. When I walked out onto the front porch, there she stood. Marissa. Tears streaming down her face. Not just regular crying. Full-blown sobbing. The type where your whole body shakes, your face contorts, and you don't care who witnesses it. Her eyes were bloodshot, makeup running everywhere, her whole frame quivering. Please, Nolan, she managed to get out. I acted like an idiot. I had no idea what I was thinking. I was just attempting to gain my family's approval. I'm incredibly sorry. Please help me repair this situation. I just stood there. Didn't utter a single word. Simply stared at her. Then she said something that really ignited my anger. You're showing no compassion. I made a single error. Why are you making me suffer like this? A single error. A single error is overlooking our anniversary date. A single error is getting someone's name wrong on a restaurant booking. A single error is forgetting to check your car's oil level. Not degrading your husband in front of your whole extended family. Not instructing him to eat in the kitchen with children. Not remaining quiet while your brother shows him disrespect, then grinning about the whole thing. So I told her, ice cold and crystal clear. This isn't me making you suffer. This is what happens when someone stops allowing you to exploit them. She attempted to embrace me at that moment. Opened her arms wide, moving closer. I backed away. She appeared completely shattered, like the ground had collapsed underneath her. But that didn't make me feel guilty. Not any longer. She had made her decisions. The only thing she hadn't anticipated was me finally putting myself first. She didn't speak another word. Simply spun around and walked away. However, it was far from finished. Not even remotely close. 6 days passed, then I got legal papers. Official court envelope. Registered delivery. She was filing a claim for half of the business earnings from the previous 6 months. That's right. After everything that happened, she wanted my money. Initially, I assumed it had to be some kind of joke. I genuinely started laughing. Sat on the porch with my uncle, holding the envelope, reading the legal document aloud while he drank his beer. Nolan James Porter, you are officially notified that Marissa Porter is requesting an equal portion of income generated by Porter Wellness Company. The identical business I had financed. The one listed under my legal name. The one I had just shut down after she treated me like I didn't matter. And now she expected half the profits? I contacted Travis once more. Read the entire letter to him over the phone. He nearly started coughing. Good Lord, he said under his breath. She's either completely clueless, totally desperate, or possibly both. Definitely both, I responded. I was prepared to take drastic action. However, I restrained myself. I remained composed. Got everything organized. Began gathering all the documentation. Arranged it systematically. Thorough. Comprehensive. Absolutely airtight. A complete financial breakdown. Initial investment costs. Regular bank deposits. Documentation from the massage equipment to the office supplies. Hard copies of every expense I'd covered. I even located the original rental agreement I'd helped her execute for the downtown therapy space. Want to guess what? My signature was on that document as well. But here's where the situation became really strange. While I was buried in receipts, bank records, and legal paperwork, I received an unexpected Instagram message. The sender was named Sabrina. I'd never encountered her before. No shared connections that I could identify. Her message simply stated, "Hi, I don't know you personally, but I believe we need to have a conversation." Initially, I assumed it was junk mail. Some kind of scam. Something suspicious. But there was something about her phrasing. It wasn't some generic compliment or suspicious web link. Just genuine. I wrote back, "Who are you? What's this regarding?" She responded within a few minutes. "I previously had a relationship with Victor. He mentioned some things that you should definitely be aware of." My pulse started racing. "Victor?" I asked her to explain what she was talking about. She got back to me shortly after. "I heard Victor boasting to his buddy several months back. He claimed, your spouse will be kicked out of your home before this year ends. He mentioned she was fed up with supporting someone like you. I had no clue who you were at that time. But when I noticed your name on a friend's social media post, everything clicked." I leaned back and just gazed at my phone screen. The last phrase hit me hard emotionally. I asked if she had any evidence. She explained she hadn't recorded anything. However, she recalled the establishment they visited, the specific weekend it occurred, the specifics of their discussion. She was even prepared to provide a written testimony if I required it. I wasn't sure whether to express gratitude or get sick. My stomach was doing somersaults. This entire time, I'd assumed Marissa was simply becoming disconnected. That perhaps things were naturally cooling down. That maybe our marriage was just experiencing a rough patch. But now I understood it clearly. Victor had been manipulating her, speaking poison into her thoughts, gradually convincing her to turn against me, and she allowed it to happen. I reflected on every cold evening, every distant expression, every occasion I inquired if something was bothering her, and she simply responded, "I'm exhausted." Wrong. She wasn't exhausted. She was exhausted by me, and Victor was encouraging those feelings. That double betrayal from them both sparked something inside me. However, I didn't let it rage uncontrolled. I directed it, stayed focused. I contacted an actual lawyer this time, not Travis. He was excellent, but I required someone with real power. Paid the initial meeting cost, sat down, explained everything. The business operations, the financial accounts, the online presence, the email systems, the company registration, the sudden change in Marissa, and now the communication from Victor's former girlfriend. He sat there paying attention, agreeing, taking notes. Then he glanced up and said, "Let me take a wild guess. She's also attempting to claim partial ownership of your assets." I confirmed. "Perfect," he said. "Let her make that attempt. You're going to overwhelm her with documentation." He assisted me in filing an official petition to declare complete ownership of Porter Wellness Co. and all related properties. Since it was registered under my name, financed by me, established by me, operated through accounts I controlled, we had a solid legal position. From a legal standpoint, it belonged to me. That same week, I began receiving messages through the previous business email. I maintained access. After all, it was registered under my name, naturally. One client wrote, "Hello. I purchased a prepaid package for 6 appointments, and I can't reach Marissa. What's happening?" I chose not to reply. I preserved it. Documentation. Then the biggest surprise arrived. 8 days later, the chaos finally shifted toward me, but not in the way I anticipated. Victor's business venture, that showy cryptocurrency nonsense he enjoyed flaunting at every family gathering, got investigated by the IRS. Apparently someone had filed a report about questionable transactions. And guess whose identity appeared connected to one of the dummy accounts? Marissa's. Because Victor, Genius Victor, had been moving his funds through her massage therapy business. After I shut down Porter Wellness, she attempted to start a second operation under a different name. She marketed it as some type of holistic wellness consultation service. Complete nonsense. It was a front. Careless, transparent, and when federal investigators examined it more closely, simple to follow the money trail. Do you think I filed the report? Absolutely not. But somebody certainly did. I'll let you guess who. Sabrina. It turned out Victor had been unfaithful to her as well. She discovered this and bided her time. Remained patient there. Strategic. Methodical. And when she realized Marissa had become entangled in his network of cryptocurrency fraud, she ensured federal authorities examined everything. She possessed documentation, digital screenshots, contact information, specific dates, even previous banking records he'd forgotten to delete from joint account access. Sabrina provided all of it to the authorities. Suddenly, Marissa wasn't just weeping over departed customers. She was speaking with federal investigators. And Victor? Vanished completely. Phone disconnected. Just disappeared. Some folks claimed he fled to Georgia. Others suggested Arkansas. Nobody was certain. Typical coward behavior. However, the situation didn't end there. The same relatives who remained silent while I was degraded? They began freaking out. Marissa's mother contacted me. Actually called me. The identical woman who avoided eye contact when they instructed me to eat in the kitchen with children. She said, "I'm concerned about Marissa. She's completely falling apart. She requires someone to support her." I responded, "That used to be my responsibility." She terminated me. In front of every one of you. So I ended the call and set my phone down. A few quiet days passed, and then Marissa finally sent me a message. But this wasn't the cool, collected version of her I used to know. She was pleading. Full-on desperate. "I need your help. I didn't know what Victor was doing. I'm scared." I sat there staring at that message, just letting it sink in. Then I started typing. "You smiled while he humiliated me. I hope he was worth it." And I hit send. After that, I heard nothing. For 2 straight weeks, no texts, no calls. Just silence. Then came a certified letter from her lawyer. She was officially suing me, demanding half of the business profits, going back a full year. She also wanted full control of the company back in her hands. When my lawyer read it, he actually chuckled. "She's grasping at straws," he said. "You gave her a free ride for years. Now she wants a refund on a seat she never paid for." So we fired back with a countersuit. Not just to keep full ownership, but to recover every personal expense I'd covered that helped build Porter Wellness Company. The laptop? I paid for it. Software? On my dime. Massage table? $920. All the office furniture? My credit card. We pulled every receipt, every transaction, documented down to the penny. But I didn't stop there. I had solid proof Marissa used our business as a cover for Victor's phony consulting scheme. So I handed that over to the authorities. Not out of spite. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about clearing my name and protecting what I'd built. Legally, that company was still mine. And then everything started snowballing. First, the IRS froze Marissa's personal accounts. Turns out, she'd been accepting under-the-table payments through a separate Venmo account linked to her side wellness gig. None of it was reported on her taxes. The audit had started with Victor, but once Marissa's name appeared in the trail, they brought her into the mess too. No sympathy. Then her massage license got flagged. A formal complaint went to the Indiana Department of Financial and Professional Regulation. She'd been operating her rebranded business without the right documentation. She figured working from home meant she didn't need to bother with paperwork. She was wrong. Turns out, that's still illegal. They suspended her license while they investigated. And finally, my lawyer submitted a motion in court to shift liability for any legal trouble tied to her unlicensed, cash-only business over to her. If she wanted half the profits, she'd need to take half the risk. And since that new operation had nothing to do with me, the court agreed. Suddenly, she was overwhelmed. In debt. Without a license. No clients. Her brother couldn't protect her. The business was gone. Her marriage was over. She had nothing left. But I wasn't quite finished yet. Because I knew Marissa. Pride was the last thing she had. And I took that too, legally. With my lawyer's help, we drew up a final offer. A clean break. No more fighting. I offered her $1,500 in cash. But only if she agreed in writing to walk away from the company forever, drop all legal claims, and admit she had received no less than what she deserved. At first, she said it was offensive. A week later, she caved, signed the papers, took the money, and left, humiliated. Her mother called me after the settlement was finalized. Her voice was sharp and cold. "I hope you're happy. She's completely broken." I didn't even flinch. I just said, she should have thought about that before siding with her brother and throwing me out like I didn't matter. But I wasn't gloating. There was no celebration. I wasn't proud of how it ended. I was just done. I took some time off work. Stayed at my uncle's place a little longer. He didn't say much. Just handed me coffee each morning and gave me space. I spent that time thinking. Things were quiet. Still. And the truth hit me. I had let things slide for way too long. I ignored signs. I let her talk down to me. Let her brother treat me like I was worthless. I kept brushing it off, telling myself she was tired or stressed. I was so focused on supporting her that I forgot to stand up for myself. But I finally learned. Eventually, I moved back to Springfield. Found a new apartment. Fresh view. Fresh start. I'm still with the same hardware company, but I'm not just checking inventory or placing orders anymore. I got promoted. I manage the whole team now. That came fast, right after I finally stood my ground. And I kept the business too. Gave it a new name. Hired a licensed therapist to run it by the book. Everything's clean, certified, and legal now. And it's doing well, growing, and profitable. Victor? Last I heard, he's under investigation for wire fraud. Sabrina, yeah, that Sabrina turned in more evidence. He's facing charges in 2 different states. As for Marissa, she tried applying for a job at a local spa not long ago. The owner called me for a reference, not realizing our history. I told him everything, start to finish. When I was done, he said, "Thanks for the heads up. She won't be working here." Then, just last week, she sent me one last message. "I messed up everything. I miss you." I looked at it for a moment, then deleted it. No reply, no reaction. She made her choice on our anniversary in front of a room full of people. I made mine in silence. And somehow, that silence made a louder statement than anything she ever said. Revenge didn't come from shouting or fighting back. It came through patience, truth, and one final legal document that made it clear I won. And that's the story of how I got sent to eat in the kitchen, left my ring on the table, and walked away with my dignity. If this hit home, leave a comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.